cryptocurrencies have grown in popularity in Africa and other developing regions. These digital currencies are used by a sizable proportion of Kenya's 8.5%, South Africa's 7.1%, and Nigeria's 6.3% populations. The Central African Republic made Bitcoin legal tender in June 2022. As cryptos gain traction across the continent, let's look at why they're so popular, what a large number of crypto holders means, the risks involved, and whether digital currencies have a future in Africa. Cryptocurrencies have gained acceptance among a large proportion of the previously financially marginalized low-income population. Most African banks were inaccessible to this market segment. Even when they were, high transaction costs discouraged low-income account holders. Another factor is economic stagnation, which has been exacerbated by debt crises and political instability in African economies since independence. As a result, countries such as Kenya and Nigeria have weak currencies that have been ravaged by inflation. Financial exclusion and the issue of weak domestic currencies were promised to be addressed by cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency allows anyone with a mobile device and internet access to engage in activities similar to those conducted through financial institutions and intermediaries. This includes payments, remittances, and investments. Investment is particularly appealing to the technically savvy. It allows them to hold assets that are unaffected by rising inflation and depreciating domestic currencies. Cryptocurrencies are also faster, less expensive, and simpler to use than traditional methods. This is due to the technology's ability to facilitate peer-to-peer transactions rather than relying on intermediaries. During the pandemic and lockdowns, these currencies were more accessible than traditional banks. This increased their popularity and spread throughout Africa. A large number of crypto holders can help African countries' economic activity. People who do not have access to banks or banking services can use cryptos to pay for goods and services. Crypto transactions are also thought to be a more secure way of doing business. They cannot sign transactions or access your funds unless they have access to your crypto wallet's private key. Transparency is also enhanced by the system. All cryptocurrency transactions are recorded on the publicly available blockchain ledger. There are tools available that allow anyone to look up transaction data, such as where, when, and how much cryptocurrency was sent from a wallet address. The use of unregulated digital currencies, on the other hand, poses a risk to the continent's financial system. The potential threat to monetary sovereignty is a major concern for African states. If crypto becomes more widely used than domestic fiat currency, national monetary agencies such as central banks may be unable to use monetary policy to steer their economies to a path of growth. After all, such a policy is primarily implemented using domestic currencies. A related threat is the deterioration of effective capital controls in African states. These are required to prevent domestic capital flight. Any deterioration can cause significant volatility in currency rates as well as rapid depreciation of domestic currencies. Second, cryptocurrencies are extremely complicated. They necessitate a certain level of technological savvy to accept. A sizable proportion of the adult population in sub-Saharan Africa, 34.7%, is illiterate and may be unable to comprehend it. To some extent, this flips the financial inclusion argument on its head. Third, while it is argued that blockchain transactions are more secure, the downside is that if you lose your private key, there is no way to recover your funds. If you have a bank account, this threat does not exist. Furthermore, cryptocurrency has a track record of volatility, as is currently being experienced in the crypto market. This has harmed retail investors, particularly those who are unfamiliar with this type of asset class. Financial stability is also under threat. This could be due to financial institutions, such as banks, having significant exposure to crypto firms, such as through loans. Some African countries, such as Nigeria, address this issue by limiting transactions between banks and crypto asset service providers. Despite the market's current downturn, cryptocurrency represents the future of finance and financial transactions. And there are signs that cryptocurrencies are here to stay, as evidenced by countries' increasing acceptance of them. At one end of the spectrum, the governments of El Salvador and the Central African Republic have made Bitcoin legal tender, with the Central African Republic going further to introduce its own Sango coin, though the implementation and impact on their respective economies have been heavily criticized. Others, such as Nigeria, have recognized the need for central bank digital currencies as state representation of digital currencies. Many other countries are now investigating this possibility. It is important to note, however, that the uptake of central bank digital currencies in developing countries that have implemented them has been very low. Countries are also investigating the economic impact of central bank digital currencies and whether adoption is the best approach. But, because transactions are global, cryptocurrencies must be globally coordinated and holistically regulated if they are to live up to their promise, both on the African continent and elsewhere. Although some action on this front is emerging, the current fragmented approach to regulation across the world is not ideal. Thanks for watching. If you like this type of content, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories.